Alright, that's enough Guilty Gear. Blazin'! Are both Gwens there dumb blondes? Can you not see this is a Marvel Rivals commentary, not just Marvel commentary as a whole? I'm sure they'll add Spider-Gwen sooner or later. What even are both Gwens at this point? Are you counting Spider-Gwen and Broken Neck Gwen as two different people, or is there a Gwen that I don't know about? Not that I really care at this point. What animal is your fursona? If anybody types the word fursona again in this chat in a context other than making fun of furries, you're getting fucking timed out. Gwen 10? No. Oh, Gwenpool, that's right. They couldn't even fucking keep their names to, you know, one character at a time because they have so many. Also, did you actually just come into my stream to talk about how much people in VR chat are impressed at your Japanese? If people say that your whatever is so good, it's like, you do realize that that means they're being like, oh look, this person is retarded, but he can still tie his shoes. That's so fucking amazing. When people actually expect something from you, they, you know, shit on you. Like they do for example, professional sports players who score 40 points and then their team loses and everyone calls the player fucking trash, piece of shit, because they expect everything out of them. If people are like, oh my god, you were able to do something, that means they expect nothing from you. It's fucking annoying because I want to talk, not keep spamming Jozu on me like I'm retarded. Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is a universal problem if you want to have Japanese conversation with Japanese people. Because Japanese people don't want to speak in Japanese. They want to speak in English so they can justify the 10 billion yen they wasted on their English courses and stuff like that. Which means they're going to try and speak to you in English or whatever foreign language they want to speak in. If Japanese people think that you're a foreigner, it's very difficult to convince them to, you know, have a conversation in Japanese because they're like, now is my time. I can finally use my foreign language skills. It's gonna happen, guys. Having said that, many felt that Gura has been semi-retired for past years, so it's only a matter of time. What happened to that one person who newly joined our Discord and then, like, on the first day of joining the Discord was like, I'm having a real rough day, guys. My my YouTuber girlfriend, not YouTuber, my VTuber idol girl has retired, and immediately chat started making fun of them. Are they still around? I'm guessing they left because everybody incessantly bullied them in the first like day. But you know, that's sort of what happens when you show up in Discord and immediately start talking about how a VTuber has quit, because that happens like every 5 seconds. I don't remember that, but if that happened, they're not in the Discord anymore. I can't remember what name you use in the Discord, but they were only there for like a very short period of time, and I don't think I've seen them since then, so probably only about 4 people saw them. Half the actives went after you said you hate everybody for the millionth time, like it doesn't happen every other week. What, the actives in Discord? The actives in Discord disappear and reappear regardless of whether I say I hate people, just in case you haven't noticed. In fact, I've rarely actually chat in Discord because, you know, I have to be drawing nonstop, so. Ball hates people. I hate people less when there's a million miles of internet between me and them, but I truly hate people when I have to be around them in real life. That's when it really sucks. That still doesn't stop me from complaining on my Discord about my own fan base all the time, but that's just normal internet artist behavior if you ask me. I would say I'm one of the more stable internet artists, considering half the internet artists not only complain about their fan base, but then they actively don't do their job, as in like do their commissions, and then they like delete their accounts and stuff and be like, guys, I'm having a mental health crisis. So considering I don't do that, I'd say I'm pretty fucking stable. I imagine the number one reason why people just disappear from internet communities is they just get bored of it and they move on to a different stage of their life, which is sad but realistic. It's just the way shit is. I played 1,000 hours of Final Fantasy 11, and one day I just stopped logging in and just disappeared. Tech Bro to the Moon Crypto Rug Pull versus I'm Going on a Mental Health Break artist who took advance payment for like 400 comms. I honestly think, as much as I shit on tech bros and like crypto as a whole, I think the artist is even worse, because when you're investing, quote unquote, what a joke, in a cryptocurrency, you should be smart enough to know that that's a form of gambling, even if it's usually just a rigged rug pull, so it's like a form of gambling that you're guaranteed to lose. But even if you don't know that, you know, stocks and stuff are supposed to be essentially gambling. So there's definitely a part of responsibility to the people who are participating in the crypto scam in the first place. Also, they're not really customers, they're speculators. They're people who want to make more money. They don't actually want a product. Whereas an artist fan base who is paying for comms actually is trying to buy something. So Have you ever been scammed with a comm? I've never gotten like truly scammed. I've had people who are like, who have been a real pain in the ass to deal with and eventually got banned from the server. There was one guy who I was sure that I got scammed, and then he replied to me like 8 months later and he was like, oh, you actually completed the comm for me, thanks bro. I got deployed and I had been on an aircraft carrier in the Pacific for the last 6 months. I was like, LMAO. So, in general, I think you can get away with believing people on the internet and not get hit with, you know, crippling levels of debt because everyone's scamming you. The default version for most human beings is just indifference. Some people act with malice on the internet because it takes way less time and energy than acting with malice in the real world, but most people don't really care enough about you to actually scam you. Stocks are only gambling for the poor. The system is rigged so the rich never lose. I mean, there's a lot of middle-class Americans or upper-middle-class Americans who have gotten extremely rich, and by what I mean is the fucking boomers. If you had a 401k that was just pumping money into the stock market since the 90s when it opened, your wealth in that 401k is like quadrupled or something. So do I think that's gonna last forever? Probably not. When human populations start going down and whatever efficiency boost we got from like whatever version of AI or the internet or industrialization starts to reach a peak, are we going to have eternal stock growth forever? I doubt it. Even though stock, you know, managers are like, no, you have to put money in the stock market or else you're losing out. I'm like, yeah, whatever. On the other hand, inflation is also real, so your money is steadily losing its value if you don't put it in something that appreciates in value, so it's not like you really have any kind of real choice. There really isn't a foolproof way of storing wealth that is 100% going to protect you from whatever like time-based depreciation that happens, so someone recorded themselves walking by a shot person while drinking Starbucks while not even flinching or attempting to help. Sounds like America's steadily becoming a third world country like China or something. I guess it depends on what city it was, but you know. Was this like Philadelphia or something? Because that sounds about right if it was Philly. Chairman Trump will bring down the stock market and send all the traders to work camps. The funny thing is that Trump, I thought that for like 10 seconds that Trump actually cared enough about tariffs that he was willing to crash the stock market to try and implement them. But even that was asking too much out of him. Trump is a truly undisciplined, unprincipled human being. So if he feels that even there's the slightest bit of headwinds coming to whatever shit he's trying to do, he just backtracks immediately. Like, there's never been really a time in which Trump has put himself in a situation where he can get nailed down on any kind of, like, real issue. He's always ready to just bail and then blame everybody below him as the perpetrators of whatever problem. Like, the guy who just got deported to El Salvador without a trial. They asked Trump yesterday if Trump was following it, and he was like, I don't know anything about it. You have to ask the lawyers. It's like, dude, you're clearly directing this shit. But, yeah, I guess he felt that there was a chance that he might be put in a slightly bad political situation, so he's already fucking pushing the responsibility onto the Justice Department instead of himself. He truly never wants to put himself in any point of risk. If something goes bankrupt, he'll just, you know... If his companies are failing, he can go bankrupt and not pay his employees. If there's a shit ton of people trying to fucking overthrow the government so they can reinstate him as president for life, he still doesn't show up. He just sort of sits by and sees if what people will give him what he wants, and if they don't give him what he wants, he'll just claim that the grapes were sour in the first place. Democrats ignoring Obama made everything Trump does with deportation legal. No, he didn't. There's never been a point in which you can just straight up deport people without any kind of legal proceedings. Anybody who is saying no, 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 whatever is going on, the Democrats did it too, is in massive cope mode. Are you surprised he was born rich? There's some rich people who are willing to risk stuff and make calculated gambles, and Trump really isn't willing to do that, which is part of the reason why he's not a very good businessman. You're my best friend. I guess we all need some form of internet best friend, whether it's our sexy anime VTuber girlfriend or angry artist. Are you saying people like Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett is someone who actually legitimately can determine whether a company is worth something by sort of looking at its like general business fundamentals and then make calculated gambles out off of that. So yes, people like Warren Buffett. But Trump was born rich. He basically didn't have to take on risk, and when he did take on risk, he often failed, but he was bailed out through the helpful system of bankruptcy. Boomers don't know how to invest because the economy has been an upward trend since they were born. I mean, nobody really knows how to invest. If we enter a recession, there are very few people who are going to gamble correctly. Most people are just going to get poor, me included, of course. There's some people who will be able to short the stock market, I'm sure, but most people are just going to get fucked. Anyways, we don't have to complain about the boomers literally every single fucking stream, even if they certainly deserve it. Invest into rare fish. That's probably the worst piece of advice I've heard in my fucking lifetime. There is no such thing as an investment in an animal that's going to die. No fucking shit, it's a meme. You dip. Unlike you, I'm not permanently, terminally online, so I don't know what you're saying is a meme or not. I assume that 99% of the people in my chat are legitimately stupid, so if you're just pretending to be stupid, I can't tell. Please understand. Also, people do claim that they're investing in stuff like exotic cars, which is also about as dumb as investing in, you know, expensive fish, honestly. If you keep them in, like, an extremely temperature-controlled, perfect environment in which they won't depreciate in value, they might be some kind of a good investment, but you basically have to have, like, your own fucking multi-card garage and shit like that. We both know that's not true. You're just not online in the spaces everyone else is online in. Yeah, well, the spaces where everyone else is online is what I'm making fun of in this comic right now, and people being like, oh my god, let's talk about Marvel Rivals again. And that shit is stupid. Also, I'm not online as much as you think I am. Certainly not online in, like, the sense that I'm communicating with anyone. I'm online in that I might have YouTube Brain Expansion Cyberpunk soundtrack on in the background so I can try and concentrate while I'm drawing, but you are keeping up with the trends. I definitely am not. Especially now that 4chan is down. 4chan was like the final thing that was keeping me up with the trends. With 4chan down, I won't know what... When the next chicken jockey appears, I won't know what it means at all. Is Penny Parker over 18 in this picture? She is not. It's okay, I'm not sexualizing her. There is a world in which a child character was allowed to exist in media when I was growing up, because we didn't have the thing called the internet where as soon as a child appeared, there would be 10 million posts sexualizing it. This might sound impossible to understand in the year 2025, but when I was growing up, I would watch Doraemon anime, and they'd frequently teleport into the bath of a elementary school girl, and she would be naked and she'd be like, Kya! And us watching as children were just like, haha, that's silly. What silly fun. I do not feel anything sexual in this situation because I am also a child. And the concept of female sexuality seems a foreign, far-off concept that does not immediately matter to me. It was a very different time. Classic Dogodemodora incident. What? I can't believe that when I opened my teleportation door, it would take me straight into her bathroom. How could this be? Ha ha ha. So funny. Oh, Doraemon, you fucking cad. What a silly robot. Seeing Shin-chan and being like, it's funny that he is butt-ass naked. My mother forbid me from watching and enjoying Shin-chan as a child because she complained that it promoted themes of like anti-female misogyny. In retrospect, she is correct that Shin-chan promotes themes of misogyny. However, that also did not stop me from growing up to become a misogynist, so I think I won that battle. Shielding my eyes from misogynist media did not stop me. I just hate women just as much as I did if I had not watched any of it. Is it better to have black or white underwear for my tan tomboy character? Tan tomboy characters should have like sports underwear, so they should be gray. Gray is the correct color for sports underwear, in my opinion. Like gray boxer briefs with the black waistband. I think that's the keynote choice. Do you love your mom? Not sure. My Asperger's prevents me from having proper emotional responses. I have a almost fatal lack of empathy to the point that I often find myself catching myself being like, holy shit. I truly am a self-centered human being, but what can I say? Is soul and art even real? Like, do people see something that's drawn like absolute shit versus something that's AI generated but looks good, and they go, yeah, this wonky ass drawing is better? Well, here's a image of a man leaving his wife as he walks around with his Dr. Octopus wedgie machine, which has 6.3 likes by Beetle Moses, who follows me. His top posted one has fucking 234,000 likes. And all I need to do is look up AI art right now. I'm struggling to find AI art that isn't immediately porn. I mean, here's a good example of something that is would consider to be a masterful painting back in the day. It has 1.5 thousand likes. I mean, this is biased because if you're searching on Twitter, they're immediately going to give you stuff that's trending instead of the stuff that truly gets buried. Is the point you're making that soul in art is real because people care about it on Twitter? I'd say it's the opposite. I'd say that technical skill in art is not real because people don't care about it. If I Google AI art on Twitter, like half of the stuff I've seen are thick, veiny bear cocks so far, so shows you how helpful this fucking service is. Twitter's opinion does not matter in the grand scale of things. This is semantics and bias. Okay, well, how do we decide that anything matters or anything is important? Because I can sure as fuck tell you that in terms of, like, let's say we're gonna say money. If money is important, has there ever been like an AI artist that has made a shit ton of money by like publishing a book or something and everyone was like, holy shit, this AI art coffee table book, it's so amazing? Consumers do not care. Consumers will never care. I mean, I feel like you just need to convince people that AI art is like super difficult and it requires a lot of creativity, and people who make it are incredible artists. We were able to convince, or at least some people were able to convince some people, that Andy Warhol was an amazing artist when what he was doing is essentially the same as AI art by just having mass-produced silkscreen prints of already existing images. And he wasn't even producing the silkscreen prints himself. I mean, it's incredibly close to AI art, what he was doing back in the 60s, if you think about it. He was taking other people's images, reproducing them with a filter, essentially. And he wasn't the person doing the work of reproducing the images. And then everyone was like, this guy is a fucking genius. Andy Warhol has done it again. Holy shit. He's really said something important about these fucking soup cans. I don't know how you disregard everyone's opinion often and then hold it in high regard in situations like this. By everyone, do you mean my entire chat? If you want to make money off the internet, you can't just be endlessly shitting out stuff that nobody cares about. At some point, you have to worry about popularity and shit. You're not divorced from reality. Someone has to give you money at some point. Has the tariffs affected you yet? Are the tariffs even in place yet? I thought they were on pause. Alright, we don't want to put all this shading in here. This is good enough. Good night. The concept, the entire word of soul is a word that people have made up because it's too complicated to explain all the other aspects of what makes something effective or important as a piece of something that you want to look at. People don't have the full vocabulary and time to explain why one thing is effective as an image and one thing isn't. So they just say stuff like soul. Because people don't know stuff like the concept of composition or I will say that I saw the Mona Lisa firsthand, and it's very hard to explain what makes it such a magnetic painting, honestly. But there is something very weird about it. And it makes sense why it's so famous. Consumers do not care about the fundamentals of art. That's just reality. I think there's just not enough. Well, for one thing, there's not enough marketing for AI artists. A huge part of the whole like single image art market is convincing people that like you're an incredible visionary. So if you're gonna openly say that you use AI and all you do is like type a few fucking words into a computer, then people aren't gonna be very impressed, of course. I mean, let's put it this way: when has anything ever in history been celebrated that is easy? When have we had something where we're like, yeah, my job was to I pushed the fucking button and anybody can do it, and then everyone's like, holy shit, what a fucking genius, he pushed the button. Suffer as I have or it doesn't count. Let me use instead of a food analogy, let me use a sports analogy. There was once a great basketball player. His name was Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant toiled long and hard on a team called the Oklahoma City Thunder with two other good players, but they just weren't good enough to win a championship because the greatest of all time, LeBron James, gatekeep them. So when Kevin Durant had an opportunity, he chose to leave his team on the Oklahoma City Thunder and he went to the Golden State Warriors, who had just won 73 games the last fucking season and had also lost to LeBron James. Not surprisingly, because the second best player in the world joined the best team in the world, the Golden State Warriors went on to win the next 2 or 3 championships. I can't fucking remember, by a lot, until they all got hurt. And yet, for some reason, all the NBA fans did not celebrate Kevin Durant. Instead, they called him a pussy-ass bitch fraud because he had joined the Golden State Warriors. And Kevin Durant said, why? Why are you calling me a pussy-ass bitch fraud? I thought that the only thing that mattered was rings. I thought that I was supposed to win a championship. I won multiple championships. Why are you not loving me like you're supposed to? And everyone said, are you fucking retarded? Why should we celebrate you when you did something that was super easy because you just fucking already joined a team that just won a championship? Are you fucking stupid? But unfortunately, Kevin Durant is not smart enough to recognize this very simple concept. People don't celebrate people for doing easy shit. They never have. In contrast, people are very willing to celebrate people for doing difficult shit, even if it's difficult shit that nobody really needs to do, like climbing an extremely tall mountain, which really doesn't help anybody, actually, if you think about it. And yet people are like, holy fucking shit, he did it. He climbed the really tall mountain and lost all of his fingers from frostbite. Good fucking job. Are you a hard work always pays off person? Hard work doesn't always pay off. But nobody will respect you for doing something that's easy. That's the one thing that all the Nepo babies out there can never really understand. Is like, you can buy a nice life, you can inherit money and shit, but it's basically impossible to get respect unless you actually suffer. Yeah, Elon pretending to be a top-rated Path of Exile player is like peak version of this. Big ass rant today, old news. I mean, what else am I supposed to talk about? You know, you people often say that I'm hostile to chat, but I'm generally just responding to what you people type in chat. Probably the reason, if you think this chat seems hostile or I'm ranting, it's probably because there's Green Rider in chat, and Green Rider tends to type hostile shit in chat and I respond to it, so it's basically his fault. Just like to point that out. He could have pretended to be good at League or something. What was the guy's name of the cryptocurrency company that fucking went under in the Bahamas? It's not Sam Altman, that's OpenAI. What was his name? Was it Sam Altman? I thought that was the AI guy. They're all getting fucking messed up in my brain at this point. Something about the nonchalant nasal tone of your voice registers as dismissive. It is dismissive. They're correctly interpreting me. And I am hostile. That is a correct interpretation of my tone. You can't stream as many hours as I have and not show your true colors. Yeah, the FTX guy. It is Sam Altman, is it? I believe he was playing League of Legends all day. No, Sam Altman is OpenAI. Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried, that's right. Sam Bankman-Fried, League of Legends rank. Sam Bankman-Fried's League of Legends rank was bronze level 3. He was also mocked by Elon Musk for his low ranking. The irony of these crypto and AI and tech bros. One guy is playing League of Legends all day while running a billion-dollar crypto empire and can't get out of fucking bronze. The other guy who's mocking him is the richest man in the world and is pretending to be the top-level Path of Exile player while buying a Chinese account. And if he actually tries and plays Path of Exile, he can barely, you know, finish the fucking story mode while everybody bullies him in chat. You'd think that something as playing video games would be easier for these people, but no. Apparently, they're just outskilled by basic-ass MOBA mechanics. It's kind of sad, really. Elon has his tab called Elon Maps. Just imagining the kind of mentality. How do you think the Chinese guy who runs Elon's account felt when he had to create a specific tab for the person who's paying him money after he had played on this account for like 10,000 hours, becoming #1 in the world. And he's like, okay, this is the tab that I'm like, okay, Mr. Elon, please only use this tab. Don't fuck with all of the other stuff that I've painstakingly accumulated for you to bring this account to #1 in the world. Please, please, please don't fuck shit up. And Elon's like, okay, this is Elon's tab. It must be like if you're a nuclear engineer or something and you have to give control of the power plant to like a fucking baby for an entire day, and you're just like, please sir, don't touch any of the levers here. Just press this little red button here. Nothing else. The fact that he walked over 2 of the most rare materials in the game because he's clueless and will be forever representative of how much of an imbecile he is. I mean, I think there's footage after he's done more than one stream where he also streamed just like the story, the first few chapters or whatever. And yeah, he was having difficulty. Path of Exile 2 is actually pretty difficult before you get to the end game, and then you just, stomp shit just like Path of Exile 1. So if you have a bad build, you will die in the story mode. The silly thing is, Sam Bankman-Fried, he did try to do the whole I'm one of us stuff, but all Elon wants is to be loved. Well, actually, that's not true. Elon's problem is that he doesn't just want to be loved. He also wants to be respected and admired and worshipped. So you can't just be like, I'm a Path of Exile player, I'm a Diablo 4 player. He has to be the best Path of Exile player. He has to be the best Path of Diablo 4 player on the planet. All he had to do was just be like, I like this video game, I'm going to stream it, and then I'm going to ask chat for advice, and then everyone would be like, he's one of us. What a great relatable guy. But Elon doesn't want to be relatable, because that would mean he would have friends and he would have a community and he would be on the same level as the people around him. But he can't handle that. He wants to be above everyone. Same for Trump. Both Elon and Trump probably don't have a single friend, because a friend is an equal, and being equal to somebody is not in their interest. That's asking too much. Didn't the 4chan hackers leak Elon's logs? Wait, was Elon posting on 4chan? That would definitely be within his general behavior. Saw something like this, but pretty sure is a meme. I mean, we live in a weird time in which basically any amount of stupid news regarding our world leaders right now could turn out to be real. Can you imagine our parents' generation where they got to listen to Walter Cronkite read the news every night? And everybody held themselves to slightly higher standards of behavior. And if the president was doing something below what was considered to be acceptable, like fuck Marilyn Monroe in the White House bedroom like JFK was doing or whatever, they would properly keep it under wraps instead of have 10 million people leaking it on TikTok within 5 minutes. It all seems like a completely different universe at this point. Elon can't fill that void no matter how much attention he desires. Same for Elon and Trump, honestly, I'm sure. These people know that they were born on third base deep down inside. And it bugs them. No matter how much they tell themselves that they've accomplished shit. They have nothing to call their own. The damn gorilla shouldn't have died in Cincinnati Zoo. I do wonder what would have happened if Obama had never gotten nominated or never have decided to run. Because I do think that he was sort of the beginning of the seesawing of American politics. Having a black guy in the White House, even though he was like a pretty standard central political figure for a solid 8 years, I think just mind-fucked the shit out of the American right to the point where they started behaving very stupidly. And they've just been going on into this spiral of decline since then. And then the left started to get radicalized as a response to that radicalization. Remember when the Republicans were like, we fucking hate the national debt. We're worried about the US national debt. We're going to create the Tea Party movement. Is the Tea Party movement legitimately too old for like half the people in chat to actually remember what it is? Because it was sort of like step one of like the Republican Party just starting to lose its mind under Obama. This timeline could be worse. You're all tripping, LOL. I mean, there could be nuclear war. So it can always get worse. Never forget. There's always an opportunity for shit to get even worse than it is right now. I'm not an American. Oh, this is interesting. I guess you guys didn't know about it. It was pretty big in America. Tea Party movement. The Tea Party movement was an American fiscally conservative political movement within the Republican Party that began in 2007. It was a major factor in 2010. It really sort of started flaring up in fucking Obama years. They called for lower taxes and for a reduction of the national debt and federal budget deficit. Why are these two in the same party? Strange. Because Republicans are retarded. They're like, we don't want to pay as much taxes, but we also shouldn't be in as much debt. It was the most obvious, like, these people know that they're not allowed to just say, like, I don't want to have a black person in the White House kind of movements of all time. And of course they all fucking evaporated. And they started voting the traditional Bush era conservative, like we're gonna invade Iraq type Republicans. If you've noticed, nobody has given a single fuck about the national debt for a long, long time. And if you actually try and reduce it by, say, increasing taxes or cutting your social security programs, people are gonna fucking lose their minds. You noticing too much? I mean, it was just so obvious. In fact, I'm still shocked when people pretend like they're not racist in 2025. Like, I'm kind of shocked that Americans haven't gone back into, like, slavery era scientific stuff where they're like, we can't have certain people of certain colors in the country because we have all this scientific evidence that, you know, proves that certain ethnic groups have lower IQ and are more violent, etc., etc. Like, people still generally agree that racism is bad. That's what I find kind of crazy. Because you'd think that that would be one of the things that eventually would collapse, but they're still holding up the facade. People are racist, though? Yeah, but they still agree that you're not supposed to be racist. Like, I'm shocked that we haven't entered the mode of, like, eugenics and stuff, actually. Because that's basically what the white replacement movement is. Is that white people are being replaced because we're not having enough sex. Thinking about how Obama and Trump were caught laughing together 4 months ago on camera. I do sort of think that Obama is right in that he's not saying anything. I think he does still have some sort of outside influence in the Democratic Party, and I think he's correct to not try and flex it too much, because it would kind of get in the way of whatever new leadership might, you know, come out in the future. I think it would only be a negative if he was sort of like taking up some weird kingmaker position. I mean, it certainly didn't work out with Biden, so... Obama isn't a complete emotional idiot, but the rest, eh. The whole vice president is sort of second in line thing is generally a bad idea. There's a reason why the vice president keeps on losing at primaries. It's because they're chosen. The vice president is often chosen to be a non-charismatic human being, so they don't get in the way of the president. So it shouldn't be a surprise when they lose elections and stuff. In fact, it's kind of shocking that Biden was able to win the first time, but he wasn't a million years old at the time, even though it already felt like he was pretty fucking old. Obama just wants to retire with that nice pension he has. I mean, he has like $1 billion probably from like whatever Netflix deal and shit he got. Apparently he did try and kick Biden out when it really looked like Biden was fucking donezo. So I don't think he's completely retired from politics. Basically, I heard that both Nancy Pelosi and Obama sort of stepped in when it became increasingly obvious that Biden was basically just a walking corpse. Oblivion remaster. Can these gents focus on new Elder Scrolls already? LOL. I mean, if you want any sort of evidence that humanity is declining, the fact that the video game industry can only remake the same fucking games from like 10 years ago. I guess it's not 10 years ago, it's like 20 years ago, LMAO. Like, how can you make a new video game, people? Is that asking too much? I mean, even the games that I think are generally good are some version of a remake, so... Hell knows what Bethesda is up to. I mean, what are any of these video game developers that get bought up by Microsoft up to? Whenever a video game comes out after a video game developer is bought by Microsoft, I'm like, holy shit, they did it. They published a single game, guys. Like, when Avowed actually came out, I was like, holy shit, Obsidian isn't completely dead and gone. I'm fucking shocked. Why couldn't they just let Bernie to be the Democratic candidate to run against Trump? Bernie, unfortunately, notices too much about capitalist power structures for him to be allowed to be actually an actual leader of the Democratic Party. I'll be 40 when Fallout 5 comes out. No, you'll just be dead because it's not coming out ever. Have they even announced Fallout 5? I mean, we've seen absolutely zero regarding Elder Scrolls 6, right? So... And do you even want to play Fallout 5 after Starfield? I have not ultimately played Starfield, but it seemed like the worst kind of game. Not just a bad game, but just a vaguely uninteresting game. Like, I couldn't even watch streams of people playing Starfield for more than 2 or 3 minutes at a time. Even the LOL YouTubers who are like, I tried making 10,000 pots in Oblivion and putting it on the heads of everyone. Even those people abandoned Starfield after like 1 or 2 videos because there just wasn't enough shit to do in it. It's like the ultimate fucking failure of all time. People will still try and believe in Todd and hope that he'll deliver, but it just seems like a massive losing bet. Starfield, I forgot. Yeah, that's a characteristic of Starfield. People don't love it or hate it. People think about Concord more than they think about Starfield. That's the funny part. It's not like a spectacular massive failure. It's just like a normal failure. It's not completely broken, but there's nothing spectacular or nice about it. It's not fun. It's not particularly memorable. It's just there. Oblivion Remastered is not being made by Bethesda. Well, I mean, they don't have time to do that. They're making Fallout 5, am I right, fellow friends? I mean, that's pretty normal. They're just trying to squeeze a few more bucks out of the whole thing. This is the company that sold us Oblivion 10 million times, so... Not Oblivion, Skyrim. Have we all bought our Skyrim's Collector Edition? Todd will punch me in the dick if I don't buy the remaster. To be fair, Todd is exactly the right height to punch you in the dick. He's right there at dick level. Four was forgettable. That's the thing. The video games... Bethesda video games aren't getting worse. They are getting a little bit worse, but more than getting worse, they're much more getting forgettable. More and more forgettable, less remarkable. They're losing the fun jank along with the unfun jank, and they just become just like cardboard tasting, flat, boring ass games. There's nothing spectacular about them. Neither spectacularly good or spectacularly bad. They're just there. Which is the worst state to be in, if you ask me. People are just going to become disengaged sooner or later. If I couldn't mod big titties in my Fallout 4, I would not play, period. I played quite a bit of Fallout 4 in retrospect, but I wasn't really having that much fun. And I couldn't tell you things that I remember or that actually happened. The one thing I remember is the black guy kept on telling me that the settlements were being attacked. I was just like, I don't care, dude. I don't care that my settlement is being attacked. It's not important. They banned the incest rape game on Steam. Yeah, it wasn't a particularly good incest rape game. Don't worry. Why do people even want to play eroge on Steam? Steam is a mainstream video game platform. I don't understand why people think that they're just going to be allowed to play Japanese Tentacle Rape Simulator 9000 or whatever. Like, just play it, go to DL site and download your fucking game like a normal human being. I swear to God, any PC player who makes fun of like console players for locking themselves into being on a single platform but then refuses to not play any video game that's not on Steam, like, are you not capable of looking in a fucking mirror? You're exactly the same thing. It's, in fact, you're way worse because all you have to do is open up a second launcher and you're still like, nope, no Steam, no buy. This other video game marketplace doesn't have a cart. I could never ever buy any other game on that. The 2 seconds it takes for me to open the other launcher is too much. I can't fucking do it. The game is not Nipponese? Yeah, I know. Sinister 2 is out. If you actually want to play a good incest rape game. It's not really an incest game. It's just a standard Catholic nun sister versus tentacles and zombies type game. Everything that you would expect to happen to her happens to her. The problem is that Steam is the gold standard of how a PC store should be, but you had too many companies that failed to do that. Epic Games is one huge example. Okay, but it's just the fucking storefront. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how big a deal can it be? Like, I can understand if you're more like, I don't want to give Tim Cook a single cent because he fucking pisses me off, but the complaints that it's like, no, I could never buy something from the Epic store because I don't like their fucking storefront just seems like it's so fucking stupid. Like, how long are you on the fucking storefront? You're just on it for like the 5 seconds in which you're buying the game. Like, does it matter if you have a cart or not? Like, if I want to play a game, I would buy it on Epic Store. Epic Games is so pointless. I mean, I'm sure it's pointless in that it's too late for them to stop Steam's monopoly. But PC gamers shouldn't be like applauding Gaben having a complete iron fist ruling monopoly over their fucking hobby at all times. But I guess Gaben's cock is too deep down everyone's throat to even notice that at this point. I do have GOG. They tend to have a lot of RPGs, like CRPGs, on sale more often than Steam, so I often end up buying from them instead of Steam. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't like the Steam storefront that much. I know this is fucking blasphemy, but I really don't. I think the review system is good, but I don't find the rest of the storefront to be that good. It doesn't help that Epic tried to pull the exclusive shit with PC games. Yeah, they really tried to buy their way into the market, and they failed pretty spectacularly. And they kept on trying to offer people free games on the Epic Store, and nobody cared because the free games they were offering were like generally pretty shitty. I mean, doesn't Steam just have a policy against, like, I don't know, specific sexual content, so that when you get an eroge ported to it, if you want the full experience, you need to go to, like, a separate site and download a separate patch? I don't know why people would go out of their way to do that, just so they can have it in their fucking Steam library. I mean, DL Site has been here since, like, 1995. You should give DL Site your money. That's what I do. Why do you have to give Gaben fucking 30%? Give it to Japan, the actual country that is producing the eroge that you like. Japan doesn't make official English eroge. I mean, so do you think that the Steam version is going to be the official English version? It's just going to be whatever version that they're selling on Steam is going to be the same as whatever English version they have on DL Site. I like Emma's design way too much. These devs can cook. I think all the designs look the same, honestly. They're all pretty similarly colored combat suits. Because it's obvious that they want to sexualize the characters, but they have like rules where they can't sexualize them too much. Probably both from Disney's Marvel office and from China as well. In fact, I was like, I'm so fucking done with Marvel Rivals, even if I haven't played a single game. When I looked at their fucking Wolverine design, it looks such ass. In fact, I'd say a lot of their characters look similar to the other characters. And look at this shit. It looks like the most like generic black-haired Asian guy character design I've fucking seen. I can't believe people are just like coming in their pants over these designs. It's just because the Western video game consumer has been completely starved of any kind of sexual content for the last, 10 years. I mean, you compare that shit to this fucking Utter Soul that we got back in the day from Capcom. Berserker Barrage! Look at them perfectly understanding the essence of the character. Look how fucking short he is. And his goddamn sprites. Holy fucking soul. He's the king of short kings? Yeah. Japan winning again? It's not really fair because Capcom at that time was like the pinnacle of character design. Even Capcom itself has never been able to get back to that point. Like, nothing looks as good as Marvel vs. Capcom 1 era sprites and shit. We've literally never recovered to that point in our artistic direction since then. I mean, look at the Marvel Rivals Psylocke. And everyone's like, oh, I'm about to come! Oh! And I actually look at her face, and like, the eyes are especially weird. Like, it's fucking serviceable at best. But then you look at, like... Fucking look at the sprite of the Psylocke sprite. This is what we were looking at in the fucking arcade back in the day, boys. The level of thickness. Ah! 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 Everything that we get in 2025 is just a pale facsimile of the glory that was in the 90s. Ah, yes. A sprite that was so fucking sexually charged that I've found multiple Japanese doujins just of Psylocke, even though Japanese people don't give a single fuck about American comics. They were just like, oh, Psylocke, I'm gonna come! Just from the Children of the Atom video game. We've never recovered. It helps that it's pixel compared to being full 3D model. Yeah, that's part of it. Ironically, the 3D model version of 2D artwork also peaked earlier with Guilty Gear Xrd, and we haven't been able to get back to that as well. Old Chun-Li was something else. Third Strike Chun-Li was peak Chun-Li, if you ask me. Although, I like alpha versions of Chun-Li as well. She just doesn't look that correct in her 3D versions, honestly. Chun-Li actually looks pretty different for each Street Fighter. Because, like, she has different stances and stuff, but I think she definitely looked the best in Third Strike. It's not more to the imagination. That's sort of that's the incorrect interpretation. It's more controlled. It's part of the same reason why faces start to get weird once face scan technology became more prominent. Back in the day, you couldn't do as much like face animation and stuff, but everything looked correct because there was someone personally sculpting each of the faces and stuff, you know. Even if you had like a person who was doing the modeling of the animations and stuff, there was just the more that you take control out of artists' hands, artists are gonna make sure that every single thing looks correct. So the more and more you automate all these stuff, you might get more like detail and extra stuff that you weren't able to animate, but you also have a higher variance of things that just looks incorrect. And I think we see that more and more with a lot of the new technology. On the other hand, stuff that is still animated like by hand, frame by frame, every frame is going to look perfectly good because there's someone who makes sure that every frame looks perfectly good, like Wallace and Gromit and stuff like that. It also cuts a lot of the fat because it takes so much work to create a single image or a single sprite or something like that. You only get a very limited number of those things. You don't get any extra shit. You get a more condensed experience. It's why realistic stuff in games looks so uncanny valley compared to old stylized games. It's weird because we almost had it. I mean, we did have it with Guilty Gear Xrd. Guilty Gear Xrd looks like what a 2D game should look like with 3D models, right? It looks exactly like a fucking anime. And Arc System Works is still capable of doing it, but even like Strive hasn't really reached the same levels. And don't even get me started on Capcom with like the RE engine and how fucking jarring some of these faces look. I mean, have you seen Elena in the trailer? I mean, she just looks off. The only female character that they seem to have gotten completely right is Juri. So I'm sure they have like a top level foot coomer on that job. But everything else, there's something that's wrong. Realism caters to the most general audience. Well, we haven't really given it a chance, I would say. I mean, the audience keeps on growing, so I don't think there's an obvious like correlation that we can point to yet. Because way more people are playing video games right now than they used to. Monster Hunter World was the biggest example of this, realism over design. I mean, Monster Hunter World, both Worlds and Wilds are okay, I would say. The animations, I think, look really good. I truly am 100% satisfied with the various monster animations in Monster Hunter Wilds. But there's clearly some issues with the RE engine when it comes to animating, doing like lighting and stuff in very large environments. It works very well for RE games, but I'm not sure they should be using it for any other video games. They definitely shouldn't be using it for Street Fighter. I think we can say that for sure. Like, come on, guys. This looks like ass. Devil's advocate but fair. I'm not saying there aren't stuff that look wrong, but I'm saying that there's some of the stuff that they're using the new technology correctly, like the animations. Juri, Akuma, and Mai are the best looking they have ever been. I guess. I mean, SNK's animations were never that good in the first part. So I'm not going to complain too much about Mai. But like, come on, let's look at the Elena trainer trailer, for example. She looks pretty good when you're looking at her from like 30 feet away, obviously. This is it. This is what I'm talking about. There's something weird about all the choices they've made. I mean, the hands are way too big, but that's just a Street Fighter tradition, right? They give the characters big hands and big feet so that it's easier to recognize like movements and kicks and stuff like that. So whatever. But like, what is this choice of the hair? Why is it not like, why are they making the bangs like giving this weird ass, this is what I would call an ugly girl cut. It's a cut that you give to women specifically to make them look ugly. Case in point, there is a reason why she has this hair. They specifically give her this hair to make her look like a plain girl. This is a plain girl hairstyle. If you give a girl the full bangs that go down to her eyes, it makes her look too sexy and mysterious. And if you give it too short, it makes them look too sporty or like a lesbian. This is, yeah, it's the cut they choose to nerf themselves, or more like the art director chooses to nerf the girl because she's supposed to be a plain looking girl. So why the fuck are they giving this bang choice to Elena? This is even worse than Fuka, to be honestly. You look at Street Fighter 3 Elena. Where are the bangs? The bangs go down, right down to the eyes. This is correct bang length right here. And I don't even think that it's like DEI stuff. I think they're just, I don't know, man. I really don't know what they're doing with Street Fighter 6. There's so many of these things that should just be, like, Japan has been mastering the art of making coom-worthy girls for centuries now. it just is baffling why Capcom seems to have lost their ability to make the correct decisions, especially because the character concept art of all the characters looks perfectly fine. But it just doesn't translate to 3D for one, and I'm not sure where in the pipeline everything is going wrong, but something is going wrong. Because my looked pretty good. It made me think that, okay, maybe it's fine. Maybe they've like solved that shit now they have more time, but after like Elena, I was like, no, they just haven't solved it. I'm not sure what their problem is, but it's just very inconsistent. As someone whose job is to make girls look hot, we're living in dark times. Do you think she would look normal with her legacy skin, or the weirdness would still remain? Besides the haircut, there's also some weird proportional issues with her neck length, her ear size, her head size, and so on. So I don't know what she's gonna look like in her normal skin, but there's definitely gonna be something that's weird. It might not be as obvious. As an artist who has trained myself to immediately notice when things are incorrect from like an aesthetic standpoint, it's much more noticeable to me than I would say like a standard player of the video game. So it might not have as much of a reaction that I'm giving it, but Capcom used to be like just 10 out of 10 in every single image they drew, and I think they still are that way when it comes to the 2D design artwork. At least from all I've seen. I haven't seen any sort of any of the 2D concept art stage stuff in which I was like, well, that looks weird. Everything still looks, they still have the same 2D artist. So I don't know what kind of 3D designers they're hiring, but I'm pretty sure that's where shit is going wrong. Like, a lot of people say they like or dislike Aki. Aki is one where some people can tolerate her, but if you look at the concept art, she looks 100 times more fuckable in the concept art than she does in the video game, right? Even the hairstyle. The hairstyle is like weird, right? It's based off that Kengan Ashura character apparently, but it looks just fine in the character design stage. Look how fuckable that is. And then you compare that to how the hair looks in the 3D model. And instead of like an umbrella, it looks like a weird ass mushroom. Also, a good example is in the original artwork, they made sure to give her black eyelashes. They didn't go full albino. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter either way if you're albino or not, because there would be makeup, so it would just be black. And when they were doing the 3D version of it, the artist wasn't able to realize that going full albino with both the eyebrows and the eyelashes is going to make her look weird without enough focus on the eyes. I don't know, there's just a lot of little decisions that you have to make when you're drawing a character that were being made correctly at the 2D stage, and when it was ported to a 3D image, the 3D graphic designer was like, oh, I know how to do graphic design or whatever the fuck 3D modeling counts as. But they weren't able to make the correct decisions to make the girls look hot. That if I was in charge, I would make sure that wouldn't happen, you know? All they had to do was copy the concept art. Well, it's probably way more difficult than we think it is. Or more like, there's probably just not as much talent in 3D modelers than there is in 2D artists. I mean, how many years do you think of drawing you need to become a Capcom concept art level 2D artist? And then how many years of like 3D modeling experience do you think the 3D modelers have? I bet like the Capcom 2D artists have been drawing in their notebooks their entire fucking life, and then the 3D modeler has taken like 4 years out of college or something. You know, it's just like different levels of aesthetic awareness of what looks good and what doesn't look good. It's what concept art are for 3D modelers. It helps not having to worry about coming up with the initial design. Yeah. And it's gonna get worse as video game companies are gonna be like, we can fire all of our concept artists and just use AI. It's the same thing. Somebody's buddy needed a job, so they became Capcom's 3D modeler. I think it's just hard to translate. The thing is that most of the male characters look just fine. There are some male characters that look excellent in every single game. Especially like the weirdo ones. Like Zangief and Dalsim and stuff always look spectacular. So it's something about whoever's being in charge of the hot girls isn't giving the girls the level of hotness attention they require. And it's not like they're not trying, because they're still giving us like Cammy's ass and stuff like that, so also, I'd just like to point out that the female character models in Monster Hunter Wilds are extremely attractive. So it's not a unified issue all over Capcom, and it's not something they're doing on purpose. It's like whoever they're outsourcing it to, it might not be in-house work, is one interpretation. And again, Jury looks great. So I think it's just this weird inconsistency. I've talked about this many times before, but it just keeps on coming up because they never seem to be able to get it right all the time. It's just a buff Russian guy. 3D modelers have modeled muscles before. You say that, but Mortal Kombat hasn't been able to animate any kind of movement properly in, I don't know, my entire lifetime, so I don't think it's that easy. I disagree, actually, because you see the opposite thing happen, for example, in shoujo manga, where there's like a female author who they don't know how to draw muscular men or old people or basically anything besides hot guys or cute girls. In fact, they aren't even that used to drawing hot guys, so they just like overly exaggerate the male characteristics, which is why you get memes like yaoi hands and guys with massive shoulders and stuff like that. Like, the opposite happens as well. Mortal Kombat is just sad now. It's pretty funny because all the best-selling biggest names in fighting game community right now are all being shit on by their own fans. Tekken 8 has like a mostly negative 8% of people approve of this video game rating on Steam right now, and Mortal Kombat 1 is in an even worse place. As much as I shit on Street Fighter 6, it's been able to maintain its population to some degree, and people will still be buying the character packs and whatever. The ones that are actually maintaining their reputation and their fan base are the minority anime fighters like Grand Blue Fantasy. I mean, that's the thing. Grand Blue Fantasy, it looks exactly like the original source material. It's really impressive, honestly. The new Tekken was bad. What? Damn, LOL. The new Tekken is mostly disliked by other Tekken, like the traditional Tekken players, because they have apparently abandoned all defense, and it's just all 50-50 mix-ups or something. I don't actually play Tekken 8, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But it's all complaints about the mechanics instead of stuff like presentation. There's just like a fundamental disagreement with what the community wants and the design choices that Bandai Namco are making, so... Trying to be mature while keeping a balance between the gore and the sexy. There's no sexy and the gore became so realistic, is no longer cartoony. It feels like it's all just a nightmare version of itself with uncanny white people. Yeah, I was looking at a few images of Mortal Kombat 1, and besides all like the things you just listed, there was also all this like weird Disney Marvelification of shit. Like there's all these really bright environments and stuff, and it's like, here's the characters you love, and I don't know, it really feels like they can't decide what they want to be. I think Mortal Kombat has a fundamental problem with, it was so tied up with the whole 90s like edgelord core that we grew up with. It was the edgiest games of the edgelord core era. And now that that stuff is sort of out of style, they don't really know how to, I don't know, make it modernized. And my point would be, just don't modernize it. Like, if you're the only game that's doing that, the edgelord core shit, like, it will be a refreshing difference with everything else. Don't try and be like, we need to be like Marvel. That's stupid. Keep the sexy, keep the violence, keep the toasty, keep the silliness. Like, you have to figure out what the core identity is of your IP, and understand when you're undermining it, what people actually get. What do people find enjoyable about your game? And that's much easier if you're doing something like me, where I'm just drawing stuff myself. And I think it gets more and more harder as video game development teams get larger and larger. One of the funniest decisions was that throw breaking still dealt 5 damage to the defender. They just patched that out. Did Tekken ever have any kind of chip damage at any point? I can't remember. Were the rage arts weren't chip damage, were they? I never played that much Tekken. And I mean, you die so quickly anyways. I was never really, when I was playing Tekken 4, I never really thought in terms of, like, I can chip this person out. I was just like, I'm playing Steve, I just need to hit one button and then half of my opponent's life will evaporate. That's right. I was a fucking filthy Steve player during Tekken 4 and 5. The most hated, despicable of humans. There was only one other person who played fighting games in my dorm room, and he was way better at video games as a whole than me, but I still had like a 50-50 record against him because he played Zhao Yu and I played Steve, and I only needed to guess right like twice and he would just fucking die because Steve's damage was so high back in the day. It was a good time. And then when I played a little bit of Tekken 7 and I picked up Katarina because I was like, I don't want to actually learn how to play the game and learn combos and stuff. If anyone who knows Katarina from Tekken 7, Katarina has an extremely difficult combo where you just press 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and it does just as much damage as like a proper character who has to memorize proper combo timings. Looking back on MK9, all it needed was wider hips. The MK9 female body type is this, right? Small ass head. Let's give them the ninja. Big, big titties. There you go, guys. That's sexy, isn't it, boys? Whoa, so sexy. Whoa. If you ever needed any evidence that American artists are inferior to Japanese artists, you only need to look to Mortal Kombat. The thighs are thicker. The thighs were pretty thick. It was just the hips that were insanely thin. As an artist, if so this is, look at the, not at the outer muscle, but look at the bones. So imagine where the skeleton of the shoulders end. It would be like around here. It's way outside of where the hip bones are inside. Woman's hip bones should be outside the shoulder bone or at the same level, but this is like so fucking wider. The shoulders are so wider than the hips. So you can have wide shoulders on females, but you just have to make sure you give them also wide hips to compensate for it. The fact that China is winning just by making the hips wider and thighs bigger is extremely sad. I don't want to say that the American left losing their mind over taking away things that straight men enjoy is why Trump won the election, but it kind of is. if you look at the voting trends of people under like 30, there's like a 20-point gap between the voting trends of male voters and female voters, with of course like men being 20% more likely to vote for Republican, which was not the case of previous generations. Like my generation, for example, we were all, you know, it was younger people just voted way more for Democrats. So why did this 20% gap suddenly form in the last 10 years? I wonder why. Could it be because the cultural left has been attacking male hobbies, straight white men, for like the last 8 to 10 years? And people are becoming radicalized in the right wing direction? Who would have thought? Last decade, you're right, we're cooked. I mean, when was the definitive point in the last decade where it's like we entered the zone? Because I feel like we're exiting the zone right now. If Concord was any example, but when did we enter the zone? It was probably when Japanese video game companies were like, we hired a professional to give us advice on how to design characters that is compliant with modern standards. (2017 to 2018-ish), maybe. I mean, if we look at video game releases, 2017, we had Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017. We had Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. That's pretty high up there. It's like, Uncharted, we're gonna make sure that we release a spin-off of Uncharted with 2 female protagonists, both of them brown or black-skinned. And I didn't really think much about it at the time because it wasn't like video game number 500. It was like, oh, that's cool. I want to play as an Indian woman. That's fine. It had Breath of the Wild, it had Cuphead, it had Resident Evil 7, it had Prey, the 2017 Prey, when, with an Asian as the protagonist. It had Wolfenstein 2. It's still not that deep into it. What about 2018? (2018) had New God of War, Odyssey, Red Dead Redemption 2, Celeste, Far Cry 5. I don't think we're that deep. It had Detroit Become Human. Still not that bad. 2019 had Devil May Cry 5? No way. Devil May Cry 5 came out last year. That's impossible. That can't be real. It had Borderlands 3 in 2019. Oh, Dead or Alive 6 came out in January 2019. I think that's ground zero right there. That's when, like, the COVID pandemic shut down everything. I mean, like, as a metaphor, you know. Although we are getting close to the COVID pandemic. Dead or Alive 6, I feel, is when, without a doubt, we were in it. When we take a video game that was infamous for its fan service and forced its players to buy a million fucking fan service costumes non-stop, and that was like the primary crux of their business model, was like, we're gonna give you less fan service because, you know, it's wrong. I think we can point to that as the moment in which we went full DEI, no nice video games for anybody. Simpson Psylocke. If you remember from the comics from the 90s, they would give Asians that kind of skin color. Because they're like, they're yellow! Guys, look, she's yellow. See, look at this. Look at the skin color of Magneto versus the skin color of Psylocke. They distinctly give her a yellow skin tone. It's just something that, you know, they're just like, make sure she's a little bit yellower to make sure we can tell she's Asian, guys. The white person is pink, but the Asian person is yellow. Yeah, nice pose. Back in the day. Also, why is Magneto always so fucking giga buff? He barely has to walk. He's always floating around with his fucking magnetisms. You think that he's like some sort of wizard archetype, but instead he's always like insanely hyper giga buff. You can see the same sort of skin color if you read any of the Wolverine in Japan stuff. I'm not finding any immediate images, but yeah, I always immediately the classic things that you would do for doing American comics in the 90s when you wanted to depict Japan is you would give them a yellow skin color, and also katanas would look like this. This was the #1 giveaway to tell whether something was drawn in by an American or drawn by a Japanese. Because they would always draw the fucking straight ass katana and then just be like this. Look, that's good enough, guys. It would always be fucking straight. Always. See, look at this. The Giga straight sword. And then Psylocke with her orange-ass skin. I guess just drawing a curved sword was just too much. It would just mind break them. I mean, it is difficult to draw the curvature of katanas. You need to do a lot of, like, proper perspective and stuff. It's like... I guess you need to bring out the curvature ruler. What I do is, you can just use like a curve tool if you're using something like Clip Studio Paint. Excuse me, curve tool, why are you being weird? What the fuck? Hello? And then once you create it, you can just double the layer. And now you have the katana curve like so. Actual racism in a nutshell, the closed eyes too. People were allowed to, you wouldn't understand this, but back when you're growing up in the 90s, it was perfectly acceptable in school to put your fingers on your eyeballs and pull them to make slanty eyes, and then yell at Asian kids being like, Ching chong wang bang ding ga ba, and then everyone else would laugh and they'd be like, ha ha ha, we're being racist, this is so funny, you know, because it was the good old days. Everyone, it was all just good fun, guys. And that shit was 100% allowed. You'd probably get a stern talking if you tried and do that to the black kid, or he'd probably beat the shit out of you, is more likely. I guess it depends on what part of a school you were in, but there were few enough Asians, and most school teachers didn't give a fuck about that shit, so it was just good fun back in the time. I mean, Stephen Colbert did that shit all the way to, like, I don't know, 2005, 2006. I always thought it was so weird that he was allowed to do that. Like, I don't give a fuck from, like, a personal standpoint. I was just like, if we wanted proof that racism against Asians was way more acceptable than it was against any other ethnic group in America, it was always obvious that Stephen Colbert was allowed to do it on national television. Black people get mad as hell. I mean, if we're talking about simple, like, schoolyard stuff, the chance of, like, you making fun of the black kid for being black and then him beating your ass is way higher than, like, the Asian kids, so you can understand where it comes from. I have to draw Reed Richards now. I always laughed at the grape soda jokes back in the day as a kid. I mean, it would be the equivalent would be if, like, literally people started, like, taking mud off the ground and putting it on their face and being like, look, I'm Delonte now. You know, stuff that Trudeau did. The classic Prime Minister of Canada move right there. Black kids, we are taught to be violent. I mean, it's probably because they have, like, a bunch of siblings, right? I think just, like, pretty much every kid that has siblings was always going to be, like, 30% more violent than people who didn't have siblings. Like, if you had two brothers, you basically were ready to fight at any point. What if I said I found blackface JAV in 2024? What would you do? What? Who's in blackface? The girl having sex, or the guy who's fucking her? Because usually when you go for black porn, there's like this super specific 2 or 3 black porn stars that they have in JAVs who are kind of responsible for having sex with all the women. And I often wonder if they're okay with their life. They've sort of dedicated their life to being the BBC, like the 3 BBC guys in Japan. The girl has blackface, Asian girl. What's the point of this? Is it the same category as the JAVs where the girl is completely painted in silver or gold? Have you seen those things? Gyaru isn't blackface, Kek W. It's just normal cancer causing hyper tanning salon shit. You lost me with the gold silver paint. That's a real thing, guys. Look it up. Or don't look it up if you want to keep your sanity. If you go to the very specific sections of the JAV stores, you can find these porns in which the woman is just like painted fully gold or silver, like Goldfinger, Bond Girl, or whatever. Two half circles, and I can already tell where you're putting the titties. This is Penny Parker's head, you sick fuck. Well, that was Reed Richards. That's not the titties. I generally draw the head and then the jaw and stuff first. Penis Parker sucks. Take that back. This is a 2-pager? Yes.